بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. So we are going to cover, inshallah, I'm going to try because they're not long chapters, 54 all the way to 60, inshallah. So chapter 54, major sin 54 is offending people and having an arrogant attitude toward them. So Allah Most High says, and the Sheikh quotes Surah Al-Ahzab, ayah 58. وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْذُونَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ بِغَيْرِ مَا اكْتَسَبُوا فَقَدِ احْتَمَلُوا بُهْتَانًا وَإِثْمًا مُبِينًا. That's ayah 58. Which means those who harm believing men and believing women without their having deserved it. Meaning they didn't deserve it, but they were harmed. These people who harmed them bear the guilt of slander and clear offense. And we kind of see a similar ayah in Surah Al-Buruj, right? Those who harmed believing men and believing women, and those people don't even deserve it, they bear the guilt of slander and clear offense. That's why we need to be careful. Make sure I meet everybody. We need to be careful that we need to be careful how we deal with each other, definitely. Here it says lower in Surah Shura, Surah 26, ayah 215, lower your protecting wing over any believers who may follow you. So this is also said in Surah Isra about parents, how we're supposed to be, because when the bird lowers their wing, they usually lower them for the youngins, if they want to protect their youngins, right? And lowering the wing has that humility aspect of it. You could fly away, you could raise your wing and fly, but because you want to be humble, you lower your wing. So Allah is asking us to do that for our parents, and He's also asking us to do that for our brothers and sisters in Islam. So that's in Surah 26, ayah 215. Lower your wing over any believers who may follow you. Okay? In parentheses, even says protecting wing, right? Protecting wing. So may Allah help us to implement. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah Most High says, if anyone takes an arrogant attitude toward a friend of mine, I shall launch a war against him, in which I will take care of that friend. Subhanallah. May Allah make us among His friends and His beloved. So if anyone takes an arrogant attitude toward a friend of mine, that this is coming from Allah. Rasulullah said this is coming from Allah. So it's probably a hadith Qudsi, I guess. Allah Most High says, if anyone takes an arrogant attitude toward a friend of mine, I shall launch a war against him, in which I will take care of that friend. SubhanAllah. It is reported that Abu Sufyan passed by Salman, Suhaib, and Bilal, and they said, the swords of Allah have not got their due from the enemy of Allah. Meaning that Abu Sufyan, at the time, he was an enemy of Islam, and they were just referring to the fact that Allah had not punished Abu Sufyan yet. But Allah knew best, because He knew that Abu Sufyan was going to be Muslim later on. So Abu Bakr, he heard them. He heard Salman, Suhaib, and Bilal say that, and he said, do you say this to a sheikh of Quraysh and their leader? So now you have to remember, Salman, Suhaib, and Bilal, they were not like prominent people of the society. Bilal was an ex-slave. Salman was coming from, he was coming from a rich family, but he ended up, because he was seeking the truth, he ended up being like a slave. So, and he was freed as well in Medina. So, and I don't remember what Suhaib was, but they were not like leaders. And so when Abu Bakr heard them say that, he said, do you say this to a sheikh of Quraysh and their leader? So then Abu Bakr went to the Prophet ﷺ and he told him what he told him about it. And so Rasulullah ﷺ said to Abu Bakr, radiallahu anhu, "O Abu Bakr, maybe you have angered them. And if you have done so, you have made your Lord angry." So what does that mean? That goes by the hadith that we just read. It means that Salman, Suhaib, and Bilal are friends of Allah. They're considered like friends of Allah. And so Rasulullah ﷺ is reminding Abu Bakr that, wait, if you said that, maybe you have offended them. And if you did, then Allah will be angry with you. So Abu Bakr went back to these three Sahabas and he asked, "Oh my dear brothers, have I made you angry?" They replied, "No, may Allah forgive you, dear brother." MashaAllah, that's a beautiful story. So may Allah aid us to not wrong ourselves, inshallah. I mean, Allah Most High says, "Make your soul content with those who appeal to their Lord in the morning and evening, seeking His countenance." This is a beautiful ayah in Surah Al-Kahf, right? Ayah 28. And the Sheikh says, this verse was revealed in honor of the poor and lowly people of Mecca, who were the first to believe in the Rasulullah. In fact, it has been the case with all the messengers of Allah, that their first followers, the people who followed the deen first, they were among the poor. And I think I did a webinar on stepping outside your comfort zone, right? And it's still available on the website for free, if anybody want to listen to it. But that's one of the points that we're making in that webinar, is that why are the rich not the ones embracing the deen quickly? Because they're already comfortable. They don't want to step outside their comfort zone, right? If they embrace the deen, then it may mean that, oh, they have to now be with the poor, they have to share what they have and stuff like that. So that requires, stepping outside the comfort zone. But somebody who's already poor, he almost like he doesn't have anything to lose, right? So the poor were the first ones to embrace the deen. They were not tempted by all the glitters of this world, but they didn't have it. And then it says, many of the companions were poor, that sat with Rasulullah. They were poor, like such as Suhaib, Bilal, Ammar bin Yasir. The noblemen of Quraysh came to the Prophet and said, "O Muhammad, you have surrounded yourself with riffraff, whose company we can never keep. If you rid yourself of them, we will believe in you. You will then have the most honorable people among your followers." So for them, honorable people are people with money. May Allah give us understanding. It says here in Surah Al-An'am, Surah 6 actually, Ayah 52. "Do not drive away those who appeal to their Lord in the morning and evening, seeking His countenance." So those people who are supplicating to Allah morning and evening, they have a special place with Allah. When the idolaters, noblemen of Mecca, saw that the Prophet ﷺ would not abandon his poor companions, they said to him, "O Muhammad, if you do not get rid of them, at least appoint one day for them and one day for us." Meaning they don't want to mix with the poor, right? They're like, okay, be with them one day and then you be with us another day. So this is where arrogance is defined in Islam. In Islam, arrogance is to think that you are better than somebody, right? That's one of the definitions of arrogance, that you are better than somebody. And when we did the name of Allah, Al-Mutakabbir, we talked about that. And so we have no reason to feel we are better than anybody else, right? Because we don't have anything to be better than somebody. Everything that we have is given to us by Allah. So Allah is the rightful one, the one who can be proud. He's the one who can have the feeling of being better than anyone, because He is the creator. He is the one with all the qualities and all the assets, and He gives it to whom He wants. But somebody who is in quote beautiful, they didn't do anything to be beautiful. You understand? They were born this way. Allah gave them those things. So how can they feel they're better than somebody when they didn't do anything for themselves? Somebody who has money, Allah gave them the money. Somebody who's really, really smart, Allah gave them the brain. So we have absolutely no reason to be to have this feeling of I am better than somebody else. Because even in our Islam, if you're able to follow your deen properly, Allah is making it easy for you to do so, right? Because if Allah does not make a way for you, even your salah, you cannot make it, right? Even simple subhanallah, you cannot say, right? So if you see yourself being able to do a lot of things in the deen, it's coming from Allah, Allah making it easy for you. So definitely, we cannot be better than anybody as far as us. Allah is the one who knows who is better, but He knows the heart. So may Allah give us understanding and help us to implement this. In Surah Al-Kahf, still ayah 28 and 29, it says, make your soul content with those who appeal to their Lord in the morning and evening, seeking His countenance. And do not let your eyes wander too far from them, desiring the attraction of worldly life. So don't overlook them because you want more dunya. Say, truth comes from your Lord. Then whoever wants, let him believe. And whoever wants, let him disbelieve. And so that's the other definition of being arrogant, is that someone is showing you the truth, someone is telling you the truth, and you reject it. Okay? So two definitions of kibr or arrogance. Number one, you think you are better than someone else. Number two, when the truth comes to you, you reject it. Okay? Okay, so then after that is showing again Surah Al-Kahf, the two men in Surah Al-Kahf, right? The one who had the two plantations or the two gardens and the one who didn't have any. But the one who had, he started comparing himself to the other men who didn't have it and started saying he's better than him and all of these things. Okay, so based on all this, the Sheikh says the Prophet ﷺ, he used to honor the poor and he had great respect for them, great regard for them. Because that's why in Islam nobody loses. If you have money and you use it the right way, alhamdulillah. If you don't have money, but you do the deen right, alhamdulillah, right? Everybody has a way to be raised in degrees, you know? So, okay, so it's talking about the Ashab al-Sufa. So these are the poor, very, very, very poor people. When they used to migrate to Medina, they didn't have anything, no home, nothing. They used to sit on a bench near the Prophet's house, hoping to be fed, and that is, they were called Ashab al-Sufa, people of the bench. And so that's Ayah 52 in Surah 6. The Sheikh said is talking about them, the Ashab al-Sufa. Do not drive away those who appeal to their Lord in the morning and evening. Do not drive away those who are asking Allah from His bounty. So the Sheikh says poverty is to be understood from two aspects. So listen, because that's a hint. Poverty is to be understood from two aspects, general and special. The general one is the need to Allah Most High. And that is something that every creature has, right? Whether you believe, you don't believe, the fact is that you are in need of Allah. And so this is why Allah says in Surah Fatir, Ayah 15, where He says, Ya ayyuhan nas antumul fuqara'u ila Allah. O mankind, you are the one who is in need of Allah, right? You have need of Allah. So that is that's the general poverty. All of us are poor, right? And we mentioned that when we covered the name Al-Ghani, right? Only Allah is rich. All of us are poor. The second, the second aspect of poverty is the specific, the special one, and this one is the one that like when we say you have money, you don't have money, right? So the Sheikh says, let us experience, oh Allah, let us experience the sweetness of private consultation with you. Make whatever you have made easy to the people of your love easy for us. Forgive us, our parents and Muslims, our sins. So forgive us our sins. Allahumma amin. Okay, major sin 55. This is about This actually applies more to men, but it applies to women if it's done with arrogance. So this is trailing one's garment in pride. So in Surah Luqman, Ayah 18, Allah Azza says, translation, do not walk brashly around the earth. Allah does not love every swaggering boaster. And so even the way you walk on the earth, you can make it ibadah or you can make it sinful, subhanAllah. So may Allah, so even our walk, we have to be careful because, some people walk with arrogance, right? So Allah does not like that. Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu reported that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, everything of the garment that goes below the ankles is in the fire. And that is in Bukhari. Okay? So like I said, this is for the men. Like definitely we have to cover our ankles, right? Our dress should cover our feet. So Allah will not look at the one who trail his lower garment out of pride. So but then, it should touch our feet. But sometimes you have people who do dresses like the wedding dresses, right? With a long trail in the back. And so that trail is not something that is put into Allah because it's done out of, I have money. I can, like how you have royalty do that, like the long trail in the back. They're just collecting dust out of, showing yourself and all that. No, that's not permissible. But as women, our dress is supposed to cover our feet because only our face and our hands can be uncovered, but not our feet. Okay, so here it says, while a man was walking in pride, wearing fine clothes. Okay, this hadith is in Muslim. Listen to this hadith. While a man was walking in pride, wearing fine clothes, and admiring himself, Allah made him sink into the earth, where he will be tossed about until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Subhanallah. Meaning this man is still being tossed about in the earth. Subhanallah. Because he was walking on the earth with pride, wearing fine clothes, and he admired himself as if it's coming from him. May Allah preserve us. Because the thing is, our culture pushes people to do that. Our culture is all about, let me show you. We even have clothes one-time wear. They will spend so much money on the material that if they say once you wash it, you cannot wear it anymore. I don't even know that material, but I heard it. That it's called one-time wear. I think they sell them in Mali. And so once you buy this, you make your dress, you wear it once. Because if once it's washed, khalas, it's done. The clothes is done. You cannot wear that again. So they have these things of one-time wear. People who don't have money. I have a student from Gambia. She was telling me that her sister back home is not even working, but she's always calling her to send money. She has to go to this wedding. She has to go to this ceremony. And the sister said when she went to visit family, she realized her sister is spending money on this one-time wear. And she's not working. She said, I'm not sending you money anymore. Because this is what I'm thinking you need, but this is how you're using the money. So even somebody who's doesn't even have money, they can have arrogance, they can have this kibble, that makes them try to be who they're not actually. So, but you have a lot of people, spending so much money. And like in the States, we have people going into taking welfare, how do you call that? I forgot the name of it. The coupons or whatever they have, they're gonna sell those to buy clothes for ceremonies. Okay, so it says here, the garment of a believer should go halfway down his shins, and there is no problem between that and the ankles. While that comes lower than the ankles is in the fire. So like I said, this is mostly for the men, and so that's why you see men from the Sunnah, they don't have their pants go all the way down. It's because of this hadith, because anything that goes down is in the fire according to the hadith. So but now Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he said, oh Ya Rasulullah, my lower garment hangs down unless I keep paying attention to it. So Allah's Messenger ﷺ said to him, "You are not one of those who do it out of pride." So what I heard from Abu Bakr, from a student of knowledge regarding Abu Bakr, radiallahu anhu, was that he was very, very small. And so his clothes were too big for him sometimes. And so they would keep falling. So it's not like he intentionally wanted to wear long clothes. Okay? And so Rasulullah said, "No, you're not the one who do it out of pride." Okay, so Major Sin 56. This is again something that applies to men. And this is wearing silk and gold by men. Umar ibn al-Khattab anhu reported Allah's Messenger as saying, "He who wears silk in this world will not wear it in the hereafter." This is in Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, and Nisa'i. So all the major books of Ahadith, this hadith is in there. Okay? He who wears silk, so it's not referring to women. Women can wear silk, but it's referring to men. Ali bin Abu Talib anhu reported that Allah's Messenger said, "Silk and gold are prohibited to the men of my ummah." Okay? So even gold is not good for men. Hudhayfa bin Yaman anhu said, Allah's Messenger forbade us to eat or drink from a vessel of silver or gold, or to wear or sit on silk and brocade. This is in Bukhari and Muslim. And I think I mentioned this in a class one time. I visited a palace in Senegal, right? This man had crazy money, right? So inside Senegal, like the palace is still there. People still visit. It's like it's kind of falling apart, but we knew some of the family members, so we actually spent a couple of hours. We were going to St. Louis, I think, and so on the way to St. Louis, we stopped by that small town where the palace is. So the palace is, and I took a lot of pictures, but I think I don't have these pictures anymore. But he had like elephants made out of gold, like massive elephants. The floors marble. He had chandeliers. He had so his plates all had his initials. He passed away a long time ago, right? So this is like the palace is even falling apart because the family doesn't have the means to like upkeep it, right? But even whatever is there, subhanallah, you could tell that he had different rooms, like the jade room, this room, that room, and every room had like expensive things. Like he had Moroccan rooms. He had he was really rich. But what I wanted to say was, when we visited the kitchen, because they showed us the whole palace, right? When we visited the dishes, right, the kitchen and stuff like that. Like I said, his plates had like monograms, like his initials, but they were plates made out of gold, right? He had silverware made out of silver. And so this is, I mean, you have to be careful, because I don't know if you knew of the hadith, but he had a musalla in his home too. And he had like like those towers where you call adhan? He had that in his palace. So, like I said, beautiful rooms, beautiful things, expensive things. But if it's haram, it's not helping you, right? So wearing silk, however, is permissible for men if they are suffering from some skin disease, such as an itch or scabies, or for warriors facing the enemy in a battle to impress the enemy. But the wearing of silk by men for beautification is prohibited. This is the consensus of all the Muslims. This prohibition applies whether the garment is a shirt, a shawl, a cloak, or any other thing, if it is made primarily of silk. Similarly, the wearing of gold is prohibited to Muslim men, whether it be a gold ring or gold chain, or gold in the belt, or even on the scabbard of a sword. Okay? Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu reported that when the Prophet saw a gold ring upon a man's hand, he pulled it off and threw it away, saying, I see that one of you takes a piece of coal fire and puts it upon his hand. So that's something that we have to also think about, because a lot of African men like to wear gold ring, right? So we have to be careful. Gold ring, gold chain, even gold on the belt is not good. Similarly, the wearing of clothing embroidered with gold thread or embellished with brocade is prohibited for men. And that's something else too. Like, you know, if you have like people wearing the white African, you know, clothes with embroidery, it should not be made out of gold thread for men. Again, that is not good. So we ask Allah's guidance towards what He likes. Indeed, He is the magnanimous and the generous. Okay, so major sin 57. That's going to be really quick. Is a slave's running away. It says if a slave runs away, his prayer will not be accepted. That's one of the ahadith. We're not going to stay on it. It's not really relevant to us, but a slave is not supposed to run away. And so they have, yeah, we're just going to move on, inshallah. Let's go to 58. I may not get to 60, but we're close. 58 is about slaughtering an animal dedicated to anyone other than Allah. So we are supposed to slaughter only for Allah. Before slaughtering an animal for food, a Muslim says Bismillah. If someone says that he slaughters the animal in the name of Shaitan or a pagan deity or prophet or saint or any human being, or pronounces the name of anyone other than Allah over it at the time of slaughter, it is a major sin. It is a Kabaairu. Okay? Yeah, let's say this. Let's say this. You know, people who go to Marabu and they sacrifice that. Okay, do not eat anything. That's from Surah Al-An'am, ayah 121. Do not eat anything over which Allah's name has not been mentioned. It is so immoral. The devils inspire their adherents to argue with you. If you all obey them, you would become among the mushrik associators, those who associate others with Allah. So, I'm going to move on. There's a hadith here in Bukhari and Malik. It says, Aisha anha reported that a group of people said to the Prophet, a messenger of Allah, people bring us meat and we do not know whether they have slaughtered the animal by mentioning Allah's name or not. Allah's messenger said, mention Allah's name and eat. This is in Bukhari and Malik. So this is why some people say, oh, just mention the name of Allah, like just say Bismillah and eat. But we need to understand the context of this hadith, inshallah. Okay, major sin 59, knowingly ascribing one's paternity to a father other than one's own. So it's in Bukhari and Muslim, it says, hadith, it says, if a person knowingly ascribes himself to a father other than his real father, the garden will be prohibited to him, right? And so that's why when you adopt someone, you're not supposed to give them your name. You're supposed to make sure that their father's name is, if you know it, is said. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported Allah's Messenger as saying, do not deny your fathers. Anyone who denies the paternity of his father is an unbeliever. This is in Bukhari. He also said, Allah's curse is upon a person who ascribes himself to a father other than his real father. So this is pretty much that chapter. Chapter 50, chapter 60, yeah, we made it. Chapter 60. What's chapter 60 about? So much pages of stuff to live. Arguing and disputing violently. Arguing and disputing violently. So I'm just going to do the first page, inshallah, chapter 60. It says here that in Surah Baqarah, ayah 204 and 205, translation, there is a certain person whose talk about worldly life intrigues you. He calls Allah to witness whatever is in his heart, while he is extremely violent in quarreling. Whenever he holds the upper hand, he rushes around the earth, ruining it. He destroys people's crops and breeding stock, even though Allah does not like your nation. And here it says what is really condemned is quarreling, arguing, and litigation. Quarreling in talk means to make cutting remarks about your opponent, to put down what he says, to show contempt for his intelligence, and to express your superiority over him. That's what quarreling in talk means, according to Al-Ghazali. Arguing consists of expounding on the differences in school of thought and religions. And litigation is to argue a case for the sake of obtaining the client's money. And now he says, arguing may be either for a right cause, and hence it is good, or for a falsehood, and hence it is bad. In Surah Ankabut, ayah 46, translation, do not argue with the people of the book unless it is in the politest manner. And Surah Al-Nahl, 125, and discuss things with them in the politest manner. And Surah Mu'min, ayah 4, only those who disbelieve will argue about Allah's sign. So, and now it continues his explanation saying, if arguing is done in support of the truth and its determination, it is praiseworthy. But if it is against the truth, or if it is disputing with no solid basis of knowledge, it is blameworthy. And if one keeps this distinction in mind, the text of the Qur'an which permits it and the other text which condemns it can be understood. Okay, so basically this is where we're going to stop. And now he's basically saying that if you read the Quran, sometimes you'll see that the ayah condemning arguing, and then sometimes the ayah calling for it. So he's saying you will understand that if you understand that your argument is for something good, then it's good. If it's for something bad, then it is bad, inshallah. But at the end of the day, we have to keep good manners. That's the main point. Because even when Musa Islam was sent to Fir'aun, what did Allah tell him? To talk to him in a good manner. So, and Fir'aun was killing babies, right? So definitely, it's like whatever you do, you have to keep good manners, basically. May Allah aid us to implement everything that we have learned today. It's 6:33. Do I have any questions? And then that we're gonna close, inshallah. This book is about 70 major sins, so we have about 10 more to go to complete the book. SubhanAllah. This is the longest book we've dealt with. Alhamdulillah. All right, sisters, may Allah accept from us, may Allah forgive us. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك.